Aisha had always been told she didn't belong, like a star, wondering why it had been placed in a universe where it couldn't shine. Growing up as the daughter of a cleaner at Ardent Systems, a tech firm rearing its head in the bustling heart of Silicon Valley, she heard the whispers in the hallways and felt the judgment in the glances. The corporate world was never meant for her, or at least that's what she'd been led to believe. But one day everything would change. Aisha's life took a sharp turn when she stumbled into a boardroom that was spiraling into chaos. Picture this: excited chatter turned to frantic phone calls, a laptop screen glowing with what looked like a digital meltdown. A billion-dollar software failure loomed overhead, heavy like dark storm clouds. The suits those polished executives were visibly sweating, their brows furrowed deep in panic. As the door swung open, Aisha, with her oversized hoodie and bright sneakers, felt her heart racing not just from surprise at being there, but from the undeniable sense that maybe, just maybe, she could contribute. At first, her inclination was to slip back out the door to keep her head down and let the experts handle it. But then something caught her eye, a line of code on the screen where everyone else saw nothing but chaos. She blinked, squinting closer, and that gut feeling bubbled to the surface there. It was a glaring typo causing the whole system to falter like a house of cards. Taking a deep breath, she raised her hand. You could almost hear the collective gasp from the boardroom. Excuse me, but I think I see what's wrong," Aisha stammered, her voice barely breaking through the tension. The CFO, a notoriously skeptical woman named Victoria, chuckled dryly. "And what would you know about coding, dear?" The other executives exchanged glances, their eyebrows painting a picture of disbelief that seemed to echo off the polished conference table. But something, maybe all those late nights she'd spent learning to code from YouTube tutorials, sparked a fire inside her. "I know enough to see a mistake," she replied, her voice steadier now, a hint of defiance lingering in the air. For a moment, the boardroom fell silent, disbelief curtailing any quick rebuttals. But it was a silence filled with tension, like the kind experienced when a tightrope walker takes their next step. Aisha pressed her lips together, willing the fear to leave her body. "Just give me a second," she insisted, stepping forward into the spotlight. As she typed, the executives looked on, hesitant, yet curious. The typed fix seemed to hang in the air like a spell. There, in 2 short minutes, Aisha cracked the code literally and figuratively. The system whirred back to life, a digital phoenix rising from its ashes, and just like that, the room erupted. Faces that had once looked down on her now reflected awe. It felt great, sure, but that victory was overshadowed by a shroud of scrutiny. Whispers followed Aisha around the office like a shadow, especially from Victoria, who was furious that a cleaner's daughter had just saved the day. The rumors churned, the whispers heightened. How could she have had access to sensitive information? The very thought made Aisha feel like she had to constantly prove herself, like living under an invisible microscope, with each step scrutinized. It wasn't long before she began to glimpse an even darker side within the firm, issues that went far beyond her coding skills. As she observed Victoria's behavior, little things started to unravel: the manipulations, the backhanded remarks, the unethical practices she carried out with a smile. Her instincts kicked in, and Aisha, refusing to be brushed aside, began collaborating with a senior engineer, an ally willing to help expose the truth. Together, they pored over the data, uncovering something more sinister: manipulated reports, biased hiring, unethical dealings, like finding that one rotten apple to spoil the whole bushel. Then came the moment Aisha had been waiting for: Victoria's promotion pitch. This was the stage, and Aisha would not let it slip through her fingers. As Victoria stood there boasting about her contributions, Aisha could feel the swell of righteousness within her. In that pivotal moment, she stood up, calling for attention, heart racing like a track athlete on the final lap. "I have something to say," she declared, a hush falling over the crowd. With evidence in hand, she laid bare the truth about Victoria's wrongdoings, each revelation cutting sharper than the last. Gasps echoed in the video conference, and she could see the tide turning as shock rippled through the audience. Victoria's smug facade crumbled, her face paling as the board members began to whisper. The fallout was tremendous. Some executives rallied behind Aisha, recognizing her talent and courage, while others recoiled, grappling with the reality they had ignored for too long. There was no denying the power dynamics had shifted, and the air felt electric with change. In the aftermath, Aisha was promoted not just as a recognition for her bravery, but for her unwavering commitment to ethics and innovation. As she stood together with her mother later that day, their tears flowing like a river of relief and pride, Aisha reflected on every time she'd been underestimated, every moment when someone thought they had the right to define her worth. It was bittersweet, a moment where justice had prevailed, but the distance she had to travel was starkly evident. As her new title adorned her like a badge of honor, Aisha knew her journey was just beginning. It was not just about resilience, but about a powerful message that talent can come from the unlikeliest of places, and we should never judge a book by its cover. So let's open a dialogue. What do you think? How often are people overlooked because of their background? Have you ever stood up against injustice or witnessed someone else do so? Share your stories, comment below. Let's talk about the fine line of right versus wrong and the power of believing in those we underestimate, because every Aisha deserves a chance to shine.